All right, so let me show you how to do some facial proportions. What I want you to do is to work along with me. So you need a blank piece of paper and a pencil. I'm going to have you write at the top, facial proportions. Let's have you put standard. Because remember, everybody looks different and everybody's going to have slightly different facial proportions. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to draw kind of an egg-shaped oval, because the front of the face, when we're looking at it head on, tends to look like this shape. So once you've drawn on your oval, and if you've made a mistake and you said, oh, I don't know, I think this needs to be a little more round, go ahead and fix it. Notice how I drew the line first and then erased the line I no longer needed. That's how you keep yourself from repeating the wrong line over and over again. Now, my next thing I need to do is I need to find the center of the height. So I'm going to look at this height here. I'm going to go, all right, I think that is close to center, right? Now, if I take my pencil and I line the tip of the pencil up with the line, and then I grab the pencil right at where the chin is going to be, at the bottom of the head, I have this width right here. I can move this up and I can determine if I have indeed found the middle, because it should be the same width from the top to that line you just drew. So once you have that in there and you are happy with it, you can make little adjustments if you need to. Go ahead and draw the line as straight as you can from one side to the other. That's not straight. From one side to the other. Go ahead and draw a little bit of that line out. And I want you to make a note. Eye line is 1/2 of head height. All right. So this is where our eyes are going to go. Now, I want you to also find the center of the face vertically. So go ahead and find that. So I'm going to go ahead and put a line here. I think this is center. I'm going to find out if it's center because I'm going to put my pencil my pencil lined up with the line. I'm going to grab it right at the side of the head. And this width should be the same over here. So I'm going to go ahead and measure it. It's not quite. I need to go over to the left a little bit. So I'm going to redraw it there and measure it. There we go. It's perfect now. So go ahead and do that on yours. Once you've found center, you want to, of course, continue the line from top to bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and try to draw a straight line up and down. So if you're working directly from a photograph, I highly suggest that you draw in these two lines when you're working directly onto a copy of that photograph. And that way it can kind of help you almost grid out the face so you can see where to put everything on your drawing. So the next step is going to be drawing in where the nose is going to go. The nose tends to be a little under half of the height, a quarter of the height. So if we think this is a half, this is a quarter of the height of the head, you can also think of it's halfway between the eye line and the chin. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Now I said it should be under that size. So I can see that my nose line is maybe a little too long or a little too short. So when I compare the two, still, this is a little bit higher than half. which is pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and draw in the nose line. I am going to note that this is the nose line, which is approximately 1/4 of head height. And remember, everybody's got different facial proportions, but these are like the standard ones. Now, about halfway between the nose line and the chin is going to be where the center of the mouth is. So when I go ahead and find that, that looks a little low. Yeah, it's too low. It's going to be right about there. Okay, so about half that is going to be the mouth line. And it's approximately 1/8 of the head height. So it's 1/8 because it's half of a fourth. And this is 1/4 because it's half of a half. All right? Make sense? Hopefully. I know there's a lot of math going in here. That is what proportions are. Now, we're going to go ahead and talk about where to put the eyes. So the eyes generally they're about the 1/4 of the width of the head. So what I'm going to do is find half of this half here, right? So this is my center line. It's halfway through the head. I'm going to find half of that half. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little line, a little dash. And I'm going to line up the tip of my pencil. I'm going to grab it where I think that middle line is. And if it's perfect, then I'm going to leave it there, which it is, which is wonderful. I'm going to go on the other side. I'm going to take this same measurement, which was from here to here. I'm going to move that over here, and I'm going to make a little dash, right? Now, this is where it gets a little trickier because your eyes start about 1/4 of the way, an eighth of the way in from the head. So remember, half of a half is a fourth, is 1/4, right? And then half of a fourth is an eighth. So I'm going to find an eighth right here. I think that's about half. I'm going to measure it. Yep, there we go. So this is 1/8 here. Let me zoom in a wee bit. Now, I have the 1/8 and the 1/4. So remember, I said the eye is about 1/4 of the width of the head. So if I take this measurement and I pull it over to here, then I know exactly where to make that mark, right? Because that's 1/4 of the width. And I can do the same thing over here. I've got to find an eighth over here first. And then I'm going to take this. I'm going to measure my 1/4 starting at this 1/8 line here. And it's going to give me the width of the eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in a mock-up of where the eyes are going to be. Obviously, it looks a little bit like an alien right now. We don't have any details or anything, so just have to be patient with that. So now that I have in where my eyes are going to go, you'll notice that the gap between the eyes is the same distance as one eye, right? So that's pretty standard. That's this distance right here is going to be one eye length between the eyes. That's really important because most people's eyes are that way, where they have that space there. All right. So the nose, once you have the eyes in, the nose becomes pretty easy. The nose actually is going to exist in this space here. The nostrils, unless they're flared nostrils, are going to exist in this space. We have drawn a nose before, but basically the center of your nose is going to line up with this line. And then you're also going to line up the center of the eye with the corners of the mouth. And like I said, this is going to be the center of the mouth here. We have the Cupid's bow, the lips. It's going to look a little freaky at first because, like we said, we don't have any details whatsoever. Now, and we also haven't really shaped the face either. Obviously, there's more bone structure to the face than just an oval. The ears themselves are going to line up with the nose line and the eye line. My eye line is a little crooked, so my ears are a little off. And that's still a little off. Here we go. And then with the neck usually comes out a little bit behind the ears here and flares down. Now, big mistake I always see people doing is right up here in the hairline. They don't put their eyes in the right place, so their hairline is all messed up. Your hairline is going to be about a quarter of the way up the face. So if I measure from the tip of the nose down to the chin here, that's about a quarter of the height. And that is going to be where your hairline exists, right? So you have foreheads. For your eyebrows, it really depends on what the expression is. But generally, I found that the width of the height of the eye will determine where the eyebrows are going to go. So you can use that to kind of figure out where to place those eyebrows. All right. So very, very basic mock-up of the general proportions of the face. There's so much more to it, but I wanted to keep this video short. And when you get to drawing your own faces, sculpting your own faces, this is what you should use to help guide you about where to place everything. All right. So I'm going to thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something.